In the quiet outskirts of a rural Korean village, nestled between dark forests and mist-covered hills, there stood an old playground. Its faded swings creaked in the wind, and the merry-go-round spun aimlessly, as though moved by unseen hands. The centerpiece of the playground, however, was an enormous drawing of a squid etched into the dirt. Rumor had it that the Squid Game, once a lively children's pastime, held a sinister history. It started innocently enough. A group of 8 children decided to play the Squid Game one overcast afternoon. Among them was Ji-hoon, a shy boy with a nervous disposition. The others teased him for always being the first to lose. But this time, Ji-hoon was determined to win. As they took their places on the squid's head and body, a strange hush fell over the playground. The wind stopped, and the air grew thick and stifling. Ji-hoon's skin prickled as if unseen eyes were watching. They began the game, laughter masking an undercurrent of unease. But then it happened. Ji-hoon had just crossed into the squid's body when he froze. His wide eyes darted around, and his lips trembled as if he were trying to scream. Then, before anyone could react, his body twisted unnaturally, and with a bone-chilling pop, he disappeared into thin air. The others screamed, scrambling away from the squid drawing. Some ran to fetch their parents, but the moment they crossed outside the playground's boundary, they too vanished. The remaining children huddled together, crying and calling for help. One by one, the squid drawing seemed to consume them, its crude lines glowing faintly with an ominous red hue. By nightfall, the playground was empty. No footprints remained, no sign that the children had ever been there. Days turned into weeks, and the village was gripped by grief and confusion. Parents searched tirelessly, police combed the area, but there was no trace of the missing children. The playground became a forbidden zone, roped off and abandoned, its eerie silence a haunting reminder of the tragedy. Yet the village's youngest could not resist the pull of the mystery. They whispered to one another about seeing shadowy figures near the playground at night, hearing faint laughter carry on the wind. It was Mina, a brave and headstrong 12-year-old, who decided to investigate. She had lost her younger brother, Doan, to the Squid Game incident and was determined to uncover the truth. Armed with a flashlight and a recorder, she snuck out one moonless night. The playground loomed ahead, a dark void against the starlit sky. Mina's steps faltered as she neared the squid drawing. Its lines, once faint and smudged, now seemed freshly etched, as if someone had drawn them anew. She crouched by the edge, heart pounding, and pressed record. "Doan," she called, her voice trembling. A whisper answered, soft and distant. "Come play." Mina's breath caught in her throat. The voice was unmistakably her brother's. "Doan, where are you?" she cried, stepping onto the squid's head. The air turned frigid, and a thick fog rolled in, enveloping the playground. Shapes began to form within the mist, small, shadowy figures with hollow eyes and twisted smiles. They circled Mina, their laughter echoing like nails on glass. "Play with us," they chanted in unison. Mina recognized their faces, her brother Ji-hoon and the others who had disappeared, but they were no longer children. Their eyes glowed crimson, and their limbs moved like marionettes controlled by an unseen force. Terrified, Mina turned to run, but the ground beneath her feet rippled like liquid. The squid's lines burned bright red, and Mina stumbled, falling onto the tail. The figures closed in, their hands cold and clawed as they dragged her toward the center of the squid's body. "No, stop," she screamed, thrashing against their grip. Their laughter grew louder, more distorted, as if 100 voices were layered atop one another. The fog thickened and Mina's vision blurred. She felt herself sinking, the ground swallowing her whole. When she awoke, Mina was no longer in the playground. She stood in a vast, endless void, the ground beneath her a pulsating, fleshy mass. The air reeked of decay, and grotesque shapes writhed in the darkness. Before her stood a towering figure, its form a twisted amalgamation of human and squid. Its many eyes glowed, and its tentacles writhed hungrily. "Welcome," it hissed, its voice reverberating in Mina's skull. "You've brought me another feast." Mina realized too late that she had been lured here, just like the others. The creature fed on the children's fear, their innocence, using the squid game as bait. She screamed as the tentacles reached for her, dragging her into its gaping maw. The next morning, the playground appeared as it always had, silent and empty. But the squid drawing seemed darker, its lines more vivid. Children continued to disappear, drawn by the whispers and laughter that beckoned them to play. The villagers, paralyzed by fear and superstition, abandoned the area entirely. The playground became a cursed ground, a haunting reminder of the lives it had claimed. But the whispers never stopped, and the squid, ever hungry, waited for its next victim. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like and subscribe. I will see you again next week.